If you're a dentist, doctor, or high-income earner, you've probably been told that you need millions of dollars to retire. Financial advisors love when we work longer because that means more years of fees just for them. They also throw out these generic rules of thumb that, in my opinion, cause us to work 10 or more years longer than we really need to. And I don't want you to waste those years. The rule they promote is based on expenses, specifically how much you're going to spend in retirement. And that leads us to an important question that you must ask yourself is this: how much do you actually plan to spend in retirement? Well, in this video, we're going to go over that. And also, if you're new here, I'm Dr. Jeff Anzalone, a dentist on a mission to get you to the point that work is optional. I have a free passive income training, links below this video. All right, so we talked about this popular rule of thumb that they use. So what is that anyway? This is something that financial advisors tell us that we need. And they tell us this, that we need 80% of our pre-retirement income to maintain the same lifestyles that we have now in retirement. This is the 80% rule. This assumes that once you retire, your expenses are only going to drop by 20%. The logic? Well, they say, well, we're going to stop commuting to work. We're going to buy fewer clothes because we're not at work, and we'll cut out certain other costs. But again, if you're a dentist, a doctor, or a business owner, your financial situation is going to be completely different. Well, how is that? Well, more than likely, once you get to that point, you've already paid off your mortgage by the time you retire. Your kids are probably going to be out of college, and you won't have practice or business expenses like continuing education courses, paying your staff, or different types of insurances that go with a practice or business. Yet, financial advisors, they never adjust for this. They just plug in some generic formula, making you believe that you need far more money than you actually do, which means you keep working longer just to hit an unnecessary savings goal. What if your actual spending is only 60% or less of your pre-retirement income? That means that this 80% rule has you saving for years longer than necessary. Potentially, you're going to be working an extra decade to fund money that you're never going to spend. That's a huge difference. So let's talk about a study that was done, and they looked at real retirement spending. This was a study by a group called Dimensional Fund Advisors a few years ago. And guess what they found? They found, and they broke this down into the percentage of income earners. So we'll start off with the lower 25% of income earners in the United States. They need about 82% of their pre-retirement income, which is pretty close to the 80% rule. Most of their expenses of people in this group is going to be covered by Social Security, and only about 14% is going to come from their personal savings. Next, we have the 25 to 50% earners. This group needs about 72% of their pre-retirement income. It's already less than 10% of that 80% rule, right? Next, we move on to the 50 to 75% earners. They need just 62% of their pre-retirement income. It's split pretty close between what Social Security is going to pay them and their personal savings. Now, the top earners, the top 25%, again, like doctors, dentists, high income earners, business owners, these retirees, they only need 58% of their pre-retirement income. And most of this is going to come from their personal savings, with only about 21% of that coming from Social Security. That's a huge difference. Meaning that, again, many of these people are saving for years longer than necessary. Even worse, half of the retirees, the studies show, still have nearly all of their savings 18 years into retirement. Think about that. This means that people are giving up the best years of their life to stockpile money they're never going to use. You ever thought about that? So if this 80% rule is a lie, well, what's the truth? Well, it's not about what we've been fed by these advisors all the time, that we need to hoard cash, invest in 401ks until you're 65. It's all about this. And I've talked about this multiple YouTube videos. They never tell us to focus on the cash flow, right? They never tell us that if we focus on replacing our expenses with passive cash flow like real estate that can really shortcut the time that we retire. They never tell us to own assets that are going to pay us each month so we don't have to burn through our savings. And they don't ever focus on teaching us about stop trading our time for money. Because at the end of the day, here's what financial advisors won't tell you. You don't need a huge retirement number. You need cash flow to make work optional. Most high income earners don't even realize this until it's too late. They, as I mentioned earlier, they work decades longer than they should, chasing this illusion of security instead of building real time freedom, financial freedom. I don't want that for you. I don't want you working extra decades for nothing. All right? I don't want that for you. And here's something else to consider. The average 60-year-old has fewer than 1,000 weeks of healthy, active life left. Less than 1,000 weeks of healthy, active life left. That's not a lot of time. You don't want to spend the best years of your retirement working longer than you need to. And if you're contemplating retirement, you're almost there, you're thinking, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, and you're not really sure if you're quite ready, do me a favor right now, click on this next video.